Hi everyone, welcome to The Lost Generation, outside of the mainstream. My name is William Hooker. I am a musician, poet, and part of this generation of artists. My goal with this podcast, which is being broadcast on its own YouTube channel and my website, williamhooker.com, is to introduce you to many of the musical artists that are outside of the mainstream and have made important artistic contributions to our culture. I have also interviewed producers of the music and many fans and supporters of this work. My guests are sharing what makes this art form unique and significant. I hope these conversations will inspire you to listen to the music, which may change you in the way you view music, which again is outside of the mainstream. This month we're going into the archives and we're going to repost my interview with Craig Harris and Hilliard Greene. Take care all. This is The Lost Generation, outside of the mainstream. This is a story that needs to be told. I'm sitting here in the presence of Craig Harris.
Hello.
Trombonist extraordinaire, as well as other instruments. And Hilliard Greene, bassist extraordinaire. I'm not going to elaborate on your the things that you've done throughout the course of your life. I don't even know most of it, but I will say that I chose these two individuals because I know that they have a unique perspective about what they've seen, who they've known, who they've seen presently, and who they've seen past. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and my first question is, Craig, when you play your music, what are you trying to achieve?
I'm just trying to express myself and play some music, play my feelings, playing everything I've observed in my life. It's an extension. That's what music is to me. It mirrors the society. It mirrors. That's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to play. I'm just trying to do what I do. And not worry about, I can't worry about what anybody else thinks. I need to do what I need to do.
And you see all of us trying to do that too, huh? Or many of us trying to do that, I would think, right?
Most people, I've been fortunate enough to be around great people all my life, and believe me, it's not about me. I've seen others before me do it. And that's what they did. That's how I learned. You had Warren and Dick there. I watched Warren and Dick, since I was like I know Warren since I was maybe 14, 15 years old. So
that's right.
And so. It's a continuum. That's all. I just want to play some music. That's all. Just play some music. Wake up the next day and play some music.
Thank you, man. Hill. Yes. Do you think that this music that we do is ready for? Do you think that this music that I'm that wrong question. Do you think that this music that we do will ever be on a mass level? Or do you think that it is an esoteric thing that we're dealing with when we go into free experimental music?
I don't necessarily think it's esoteric, but I don't really see it having huge mass appeal because hold on for a second, they're trying to communicate. You can edit this part out.
Trying to get them chips up off.
Yeah.
Okay. Chip on.
Okay.
Popcorn.
Okay.
I like that. Yes.
Okay. Are we back on? All right. Yeah, I don't see the music having necessarily huge mass appeal. that'd be nice because there'd probably be more money around for all of us to take
To survive.
survive. Yeah, but I don't think we ever did it for the. That wasn't our primary concern, our primary reason for doing it. I think it was just more like this is how we like to do. This is how we really like to do music, and I think as a result we generate a lot of exciting music.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm going to name some names, and I want you to tell me how you feel they've contributed to this music. Because without us saying it, I think that some of these names are going to go unrecognized. And if we say something about them and their music, I think that's respect.
Okay.
Jamil Mundab.
Yeah, I first met Jamil years ago, and it was a different way of playing saxophone. Wasn't necessarily sophisticated, technically sophisticated or anything like that, but at that point it didn't matter to me. It was just very expressive. And so, it was, by that time, I've heard plenty, a lot of guys with, large amounts of technique that, play the horn pristinely well. And that's good and that's great, but it was also nice to see somebody who might be a little bit rougher with the horn but have something else to say.
Beautiful.
And nowadays that ends up being more interesting to me.
I'm glad that you said something. You said rougher with the horn.
Yeah.
How do you mean that?
I think
That's just...
I think for a lot of us, for a lot of people, I think they're older than me.
With Jamil in mind.
Yeah, okay, with Jamil in mind,
Yeah.
I think probably the way he came up playing the saxophone was probably different than what people have to come up nowadays. I think in order for a person to be able to have time and for a person nowadays, for them to be able to learn to play a musical instrument, they have to go to a university or college, or else the way the system is, there just isn't time for them to do it because they can't just hang out. You can't get an apartment for $30 a month and just hang out with your friends and talk about music and do it. So those days are gone. And I was at the very tail end, I think, of that. So in order for somebody who's a teenager that wants to continue playing music, Mommy and Daddy, you have to send me to such and such a school or such and such a school, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to have the time in my life to learn how to play the instrument.
That's how you say it. That's that roughness.
Yeah. So, but I think Jamil came up at a time long before that. So it was just kind of, things were just like, tried what might have been available to him or what he was hearing at the moment or whatever, and it was just like, well, this is what he saw, dealt with at this moment, and he probably didn't come up where it's like, if you don't have this Coltrane solo transcribed by Friday, December 17th, you won't graduate from college. Okay. So that's a very different way to train yourself than just, man, I'm checking out this Coltrane record today and I'm checking out this Coltrane record tomorrow and I'm just into it, and then I might get to a point where it's, okay, I'll go back and check out some Charlie Parker some more, or I'll check out somebody else that's just new in town that I like, and I just check that out for a while, and then I'm also just doing these gigs and doing these sessions, and so I'm just as my life is going on, I'm going day in and day out, I'm developing. It's a very different attitude than having to subscribe to what several teachers have decided what a curriculum is at the university. Which is, I understand. I'm not necessarily putting that down.
No, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a different way of approaching music.
Thank you, Hill. Craig, what do you believe in terms of this generation we're talking about is the connection of the music we're doing with what we see happening worldwide? It could be either political, it could be economic, it could be racial, it could be whatever. But I feel that we part of what we do is make that connection, and we're obvious in it. In many cases, Black Beings. My case is Eternal Life. Your case, name one of your recordings that you've done.
Blackout and the Square Root of Soul.
Oh, I mean, hello. Right, thank you. Hello. That's my question to you.
It's William. You're doing. First, I want to commend you doing this beautiful thing. But I just never think about boxes. I don't think about free jazz, funk. I don't think about it. I just think about it as all. I just think about it as one continuum.
Creativity.
Like we can go from Reuben Phillips to the Apollo Orchestra to down there. Way back to downtown where people throwing some rice on the floor. I just want to be around some people who just expressing themselves. And our generation it's not so much about our generation. We're part of something much more than that. And it has nothing to do with the art form. That's all business. You talk to Ornette, that's all business. Because they could sell, you go to marketing people, they could sell anything if they want to. You go to they sell any damn thing if they want to, if they decide they want to sell it. But if you're talking about the things that we start talking about, when you start talking about health care, when you start talking about tax cuts, when you start talking about stuff like that, that's not going to be pushed. No, stop that right away. Stop that. Stop that. Warren and Dick. There was a great man named Ellis Hayslip. He had a show called Soul, and what they was laying down on that show, and that's that's what I come up on. So that's why I'm crazy. Because when
I saw James Baldwin on that show.
It's not your fault.
That's what when you start seeing them people doing like oh, and you see it's off the air right away.
But Craig, you got to remember.
Yeah.
He's laughing. I'm laughing. We actually watched that show. We watched that show. We know what show you talking about.
So you got to control. You got to have you have to have some kind of say so in the control of how you're being seen, and that's very important. That's our generation. We don't have that.
Thank you, man.
We don't have that. We don't have that. So what you're doing is invaluable. So so they can and I'm not going to talk about the great they, but the forces that control the media are controlling what the people see.
Thank you.
And controlling who's valid. So if you're waiting for somebody,
Craig.
If you're waiting for somebody to validate you, you'll die. You can't wait for nobody else to validate you. You got to go from I had a great teacher named McConaughey McIntyre, Warren Smith. Then I come through Sun Ra. I come through people, and you don't wait for nobody to validate you. You don't wait for nobody, and you just study as hard as you can all your life. And like if you got to do a calypso, you go do the calypso. If you got to go do the booger rooga, you do the booger.
I hear you.
You do anything. If you got to go do that Broadway show, you go do that.
That's right.
You go do whatever you do. And in our generation, that's what we can, because I'm 64 years old now. I can't even believe it, but.
But you said we do what we do.
We do what we do. And being in New York, we just. We saw, people died. Them dogs. They put them dogs on them people in Mississippi. They killed people. King, Kennedys. They just got to wipe out. To wipe out that independent thought. And so when I go to another city, I'm always looking for other musicians who thinking independent. Always, it ain't about out or free. It's like we talking about self-survival, self-sufficient musicians. That's what I'm looking for.
Let me run one by you. Tell me something about his music. If you know him, if you don't, I'll run another one. Thurman Barker.
Chicago, well-trained musician can go from he can go from the rights of string, Stravinsky's rights of string, to low down, up and high conscious muddy waters. He can go there. That's Thurman Barker. He can do the music, and that's our generation. Them guys, them people before us, they set this thing up. They set such a high level that, and then they got political in the '60s. So it's really opened up for us. But the forces the forces that be said, no, we not to lock this down and get it back, because they just got off. They off the plantation and they just taking over. So lock it back down. We in a lockdown period, not music wise. Business-wise and media-wise,
right.
And they don't teach nothing in schools about culture in schools. It's sad.
Let me throw a couple of names at Hill. Let me see those cards. Richard, thank you. I'll just throw a card at you. Oh, let's see.
Careful.
Not that one. Tom Bruno.
can't really comment because I really don't know him.
Daniel Carter.
Yeah, just saw Daniel the other day. We worked together. Yeah, Daniel.
That's where I met Tom Bruno.
Okay.
Because he had a group that had in it Sabir, Mateen,
Okay.
and Daniel Carter.
Okay.
He was part of that 501 Canal Street,
Okay.
where David lived, and Cooper Moore and those people.
Wow.
But if that doesn't, all right, let's just talk about Sabir.
Yeah. Daniel or
Daniel. I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah. No. Daniel is. Yeah. He's unique and he's very versatile instrumentalist. I mean. Yeah. I mean, he'll show up to a gig with this instrument, then this instrument, and this instrument, and this instrument, and this instrument. It'll be saxophone, tenor, alto, clarinet, trumpet, and 2 or 3 others. And you do a set with Daniel, and it's just you play, and he works his way through each instrument, and then that's the set.
Yeah.
And it's just like that's a unique way to play. That's a unique way to present yourself. You know, and it is, and I think and the reason I'm saying this is I think in our free setting, somebody else can. This is where somebody can have a conception of how to present themselves, and have a format to do it in. I'm not sure it would work. It wouldn't work in a Broadway show. It wouldn't work in a touring rock band or something like that. You know, it's just in the kind of gigs that we end up doing.
Yes.
So he can present himself in this way, and continue to present himself in this way, and be effective presenting himself in this way.
Thank you.
You know, to go to add on to Daniel Carter.
Yes.
Before in one of your other things about commitment and somebody that's really committed. You know, he used to do these sessions in the morning, like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, playing. I'm serious, and people we would drive from Long Island to go to his studio downtown, and they'd be starting early in the morning. There was a flute player I went to school with. Her name was Diane Thorner, and she said, "Come on, Craig, we're going to play some music." I said, "Okay." She said, "I'll pick you up about 7 o'clock." I said, 7 o'clock in the morning? She said, "Yeah." And there was these sunrise sessions, and I said, "Okay, these people." And this was before this was when I was still in school. I said, "Okay, they're doing something different here."
Yeah.
That's it. You know, that's commitment. He's still doing it.
Yeah.
Do you remember Fidel Cherry?
Yeah, he's still around. He's still with us.
He's still with us. Have you seen him or talked to him?
Maybe about 2 years ago. He's in Baltimore.
That's right.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on his approach to life and his music? Because he's important. He's important.
But all these people you're going to say are important.
I realize that. I'm only saying that specifically.
Okay. You know, once again, Adventures knows his instrument and knows, when I say someone knows his instrument, knows that what he doesn't know and is in constant stage of trying to grow. Always want to grow and always want to study. Always want to study. Always want to study. And well-read, wants to talk about different things in life. Politicized, wants to talk about politicized.
Okay.
He came to New York, and I wish he would have stayed here because he was that strong.
Likewise,
I wish he would have strong, but he just decided that this is not for him, so he went back to Baltimore.
Yeah.
But strong musician. But that's the whole thing about it, William. Everybody doesn't have to be in New York City. It goes back to what he said. New York City is too expensive now to live in, and it stifles a lot of the creation.
Yes.
And there is no loss of. We got incredible young musicians now. Because I step out I take my old man nap. Yeah, Warren, I'm an old man. I lay down about 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 7 to 10. Then I get up about 10 o'clock and I say, let me go down because we think like we the last, but they got youngins right now. They coming out 1 o'clock in the morning. And they play till 6 o'clock in the morning.
I realize that, but you know something, Craig? I realize that, and I also realize another thing. I realize I can pick up the New York Times and I can read about these people. I pick up the New York Times many times. I can read about these people. I can read about where they play. But this generation I'm talking about, it's almost like I can't read about us. You've been very, very fortunate because coming from Harlem, it's rare that I find out what's really going on up there. It's rare, and you've made it a part of who you are to tell people what's going on there. And I laud that. I really do.
Okay.
You get my point.
You know, but what I'm saying is it's like I came like I went to State University, College at Old Westbury.
Sure.
So all the stuff that you know, I was reading books about Cecil Taylor living down in Wall Street in a room this big. I read about McCoy Tyner after he left John Coltrane, like how he had to drive a taxi and how he was juicing and stuff. I read the real lives about these people, about like this ain't gonna be no picnic. This is not gonna be like I didn't come out with these illusions of grandeur, like I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna come out and I'm gonna be like a big no. I read about these people and I was informed about these people. I used to be Warren's roadie when he go to Sam Rivers. Sam Rivers had a loft on Bond Street, which was integral.
Right.
Integral for this whole movement you talk. Because Sam Rivers, was a great tenor saxophonist, composer, he gave a platform when people came in town.
Do you know the group Juju?
Yeah.
Would you
Plunky
like,
Branch. John Plunky Branch.
please elaborate on this group? Because this is very important. It's important in many ways. Elaborate on that group.
Okay, the group is called Juju. I first saw Juju at a place called the East, 10 Claver Place.
Okay.
10 Claver Place. It was started by Uhura Sasa Group. Okay, and it was a funny place. I was going to school at Westbury. It was a small place, and I saw Elvin Jones there, McCoy Tyner, Sonny Rollins. You call it Jimmy Garrison. You call it whatever it was, because we were in that middle of that nationalist. And at that same time, I would go to Reggie Workman. There was a place called the Muse, and they had the Muse big band every Wednesday night. We had rehearsal.
Okay.
At Wednesday night at the Muse, Bedford and Rogers, and the big band was like Jeff King.
Right. Please. All right then. Okay.
Lawrence
Stop.
Northern.
Stop right there. Stop. Lawrence Northington.
Lawrence.
Talk to me about him. Specifically, really, specifically,
okay.
yes.
Alto saxophone player. This is what I believe. Really, I believe that you have to study all your life. So if you don't come in, and you can come in if you want to come out hollering and all that stuff, do it, because that's your spirit. If that's what you do, holler. You ain't got to know nair chord change. If that's what you do, that's what you do. That's what you do. But you're gonna get to the chord changes, because if you're serious about it, you're gonna learn.
Okay.
You're gonna learn.
Go.
So when I met Lawrence was like, I guess okay, and then
No, wait. What did you say?
he was getting his holler, getting his squeal on, his energy, high energy. I said, okay, high energy.
Right.
And then Reggie put them charts on us. We'd be like, oh, and so he had to get down on them charts.
Well,
okay,
Chauncey Northern is his uncle. You know Chauncey.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah.
So he got down on that, and that's it. If you're gonna be in this thing, you in it for the long term. So however you come into it, you can always learn, and that's the thing about it.
Yeah.
No matter how you come, if you coming in straight diatonic, pentatonic that way, you're gonna have to one day you're gonna have to holler. So you come into the music.
Yeah.
You come in. I think everybody in the room, that's how. So that's the thing about our generation. That's what.
Go, please.
Because Warren and Dick and
getting
them,
too excited.
they couldn't do
Please.
it before, because you get beat off the band. If you go up there to the jam session and from talking to Miles Davis, talking to go to Miles. Like if you go up on the stage like Fast Navarro, when the cats on the band stage, or you couldn't go up there and do that. You might get beat to death. So that politics of the 60s opened up everything for us. It's just not us. It opened up everything. We could try things. And so going back to Juju is your man James Branch, Plunky, who lives in Richmond, Virginia.
That's right.
He's a Columbia graduate. He is one of the most articulate businessmen that you could see. And so that whole thing, Strata East.
Talk to me, man.
Strata East.
I know.
What's
Colby.
Survival Records. That's what was Rashid's company?
Survival.
Survival. That's when I saw Ted dance, and I went down there, and these cats they didn't play one song. I said, what's going on up in here? They just was like energy, like boom, like, and I said, this is the energy, and I said, okay, this is what's going on, and that's all coming from like, that whole period where people could just open up, and then you can just, okay, now let's refine this, then open up again, refine this.
Question to Hill.
Yeah.
Hill, why in your thought is this so important for our culture as a whole to know that these individuals that we're talking about have been on this planet, because that's what it's really about. That's what it's about. His story or my story. And I would just want you to elaborate on that for 1 second. Then I'll ask you another name.
Okay, okay, I didn't really see your an exact question in there.
I'm too hyped.
He's excited.
I'm too hyped because I didn't know you know these people. Anyway, yeah, right.
But that's our problem.
'Cause I lived in
There are many
California. I know
tribes. The
these
tribe,
guys.
the gathering of the tribes. There are many people. Everywhere you go, you can find somebody that can play. At one time, Warren and Dick can tell you. You go someplace, you ain't got. I need a drummer. There'll be 10 in that town. New York just got maybe 50. But everywhere you go, you find somebody that can play. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not sure where to take this, but I'll
Take it wherever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go back to one of my first experiences in New York, which I think was poignant for me. Cecil was playing at this club that's not there anymore on 6th Avenue, and he had
Who was in the group?
Freddie Waits,
There
William
you go.
Parker.
That's oof.
What was the name of that club? Right on
It was Carlos.
Carlos
one, yeah.
upstairs.
Yeah. And Freddie Waits, William Parker, Karen Borka, Cecil, and there was somebody else. Like, forgetting who now. Right
Rafael Malik?
now. No.
Glenn Spearman?
I can't think. I'll probably think of it later.
Okay.
All right. But anyway, I had never heard energy like that. I had never experienced energy like that. It was just like a wall of energy and a wall of sound that just came at you. And it was just like,
I like that.
yeah. And it was just like,
Bang.
yeah. And then what was this is a little embarrassing for the person I'm getting ready to talk about.
It's not embarrassing.
But I won't.
Don't mention the person name.
Yeah, I
if
won't.
it's
Yeah,
embarrassing.
I don't know
do
the
that.
person's name.
Don't do
but,
that.
But he was standing off to the side, waiting for a chance to sit in, and Cecil finally let the guy sit in, and he started to play, and everybody else in the band stopped, and Freddie was sitting there, twiddling a mustache. William was kind of like hovering over the bass, and everybody was kind of was there, and then the guy finally stops. Cecil goes, "Thank you!" And then he started up again, and there's this wall.
What did that tell you? What did that tell you?
Yeah.
What did that tell you?
It told me like, wow, this is what this music is capable
Right,
of.
right.
Yeah, I had never experienced anything like that before in my life. I was just like, man, this is why I'm here.
And people could afford to live in the city then.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a whole other story.
But people, it's really important because people could afford to live here, and there was a community. People lived in the same thing. But he just said a great name. He said Freddie Waits. You know, this
Right.
is like see Freddie Waits. Let me tell you, man. I seen Freddie because I lived in Studio Wits from '76 to '79. Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So Freddie Waits. I see him up in McHale's. That was a club up in West Side. He'd be
I know that
funking
place.
hard with the fat back with Eric Gale and them.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
like just like bang, right? Like that. And then the next minute I see him, he like foaming with Cecil Taylor. I said, this is something.
Yeah.
This is something this is what this is supposed to be about. That's what our generation is about. That's that kind of thing. Like I said, whoa. I said, wait a minute, cause I said, that's the same cat. Didn't I see him uptown? Like.
Yeah.
And then the next time I see him like this, I said, that's the same one.
Yeah.
That's the same one. That's our generation. So
That's the same culture is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But elaborate.
And so the techniques, we don't let nobody put us in no box. Because it's just like you're gonna name so many names and the names and it's bigger than names. It's about was the music at that time served the purpose for social change, for love. You know, Creator had a master plan. The whole thing, and that thing was shut down. And you know, the forces that control the media consciously, and all those people with it like you
I'm with it,
and everybody else, we got to shut them down. So what you're doing is so important, man, because we have to tell these stories.
Thank you.
We had some stuff on Broadway and off Broadway. You know, sponsored by the musician Shep and all them cats. Were you in Shep's band when they did that Broadway
No, I
show?
was working with Sunrod then.
Yeah.
All right,
But-
now, let me go and just say, this is great. Let's have the next two people come up and speak. Craig, thank you so much.
Oh, but thank
really,
you.
Craig, really.
No, thank you.
Craig. I really believe, I hadn't seen you in so long, man. But I used to practice in Maconda's place with Trudy and with Roy, and you were up there. But now,
No
this
Maconda,
energy,
no Craig Harris.
This energy,
No Maconda,
you remember
no
this
Craig
energy,
Harris.
this
You
energy,
understand
Craig,
that?
this energy, Craig. Thank you, man.
Yeah. And William and
Hill.
Hill, see, Hill and I got a connection. What's our connection, Hill?
Yeah, we have a.
What's the connection, Hill?
Yeah, we have a mutual relative. He passed on now, but yeah, he's from the South, and my parents are from the South, and
What part?
South Carolina.
When did they migrate?
Well, my dad moved up to North when he was getting his master's degree, and then he got a job offer in Iowa, a teaching job offer in Iowa City, and then that's how I.
So did he come up here in like the 40s, early 40s?
No, he could. It must have been late 50s.
So how did you two find out about this cousin?
Because my people are from Aiken, South Carolina. So, and my great grandmother brought our family up in 1933. But let me think about musicians: love, women, drugs, food, that kind of those things, and liquor. They bring musicians together. But a woman brought us together.
Also, higher consciousness.
Higher consciousness.
Because I'm getting hyped now.
The music first, though.
Lawrence Northington turned me on to a book that he was studying when he was in Sunrise, man.
Right.
It was a Rosicrucian book about the study of sound. I had that book right over there. I'll never forget it. So when you came up with Lawrence Northington, I'm telling you, man, you boom, you didn't even know you was even doing it, huh?
And you know what I liked about him? He had a badass apartment on, and I
don't know about that.
He had a badass apartment on Lafayette and Clinton, a beautiful apartment. I'm like, how does this cat do this? But our thing was a woman. I was going out with this woman who's from Georgetown, where his people were. So we found out we had South Carolina roots together.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad that you found. I'm really glad that you found that out. Anyway, I'm talking about this music. And all I gotta say is, it's an honor to have you two here. It really is. Really is. It's taken a long time. It took somebody to throw it out here, and I'm glad I was able to interview you.
Yeah, you should.
So glad. I really am. I really am.
You're doing a great thing.
We'll see.
Thank you for tuning in. In months ahead, you will have the opportunity to hear from many more Lost Generation artists and supporters. The audio-only version is available wherever you get your podcast. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to hear upcoming episodes.